LEGO may have started off as a kid's toy, but over the years, the company's offerings have grown both physically larger and structurally more complex. Today, let's explore some of LEGO's most difficult to assemble sets. Easily one of the hardest LEGO sets to assemble that I've ever seen comes in from a Redditor named Quiet Effort, who posted this image calling it, quote, the most difficult LEGO set ever. This 1,000 piece build doesn't come with any instructions, meaning that you'll just need to try and copy the picture on the box. I mean, it doesn't even come with numbered bags because, well, it's a puzzle. At least it doesn't come with any stickers. Okay, so maybe this doesn't qualify as an actual LEGO set because it doesn't have plastic bricks, but I had to include it because, let's be honest, this would likely be a very challenging puzzle with all of these spacemen. It's certainly a unique LEGO product. On a more serious note though, it's important to ask what makes a LEGO set difficult. I mean, they all come with very detailed instructions that are step-by-step guides, so how hard could it be? Well, there are a few basic categories for what makes a build difficult. Repetition, precision, and complexity. We'll hit on all three categories in this video, but let's start with repetition, because these sets might not be the most technically challenging, but the difficulty can come from the long and tedious nature of the building process. Perhaps one of the more recent examples of this is the Eiffel Tower. With 10,001 pieces and standing nearly 5 feet tall, nobody expected this to be an easy build, but the difficulty doesn't come from any unusual connections or illegible instructions. No, this set is regarded by many builders as being difficult simply because it's kind of boring and very tedious. The gist is that this entire set is one of the most repetitive builds ever. To kick things off, you'll first need to build the massive base that measures 23 by 23 inches. Just this section takes up the first 18 bags and the entire first instruction booklet, but we're just getting started. After that, you'll spend the next 21 bags and all of book 2 building the lowest section of the tower. This includes building the lower part of each of the tower's 4 identical main columns. This requires building the first one, then doing the exact same thing again, and then doing it 2 more times with mirrored instructions. Oh, and I can't forget this infamous step with 144 1x1 round studs. Once that's done, it's on to book 3, and you'll now need to build the rest of the tower. Much like the lowest section, this requires building 2 sets of 2 identical but mirrored columns. While there are a few different bits along the way, the same basic pattern repeats for almost the entire 3rd book. Now, while the final result is genuinely impressive and this set is great, the sheer repetition of this build has been enough to turn a lot of people off from even starting it or buying it in the first place. Those who have managed to complete this behemoth, though, have also complained that some parts are just not held on very securely, and that the base was quite flimsy until the set's full weight was placed on top. But you see, the Eiffel Tower is hardly the only LEGO set plagued by repetition. Captain America's shield gives LEGO builders a bit more than they initially bargained for, with over 3,000 pieces of meticulous repetition. Just check out these instruction steps. They're brutal. So many duplicate sub-assemblies. Nearly everything in this set is repeated either 36 times or 18 times if you're lucky. The end result is an incredible display piece, but it's a ridiculous building experience that may induce more fatigue than you're thinking when buying the set. However, another tiresome and tedious set is another of LEGO's largest ever releases, the World Map. With 11,695 parts, this is the largest set ever released if you're judging purely by the number of elements as of the time of this video, but it's also the single most repetitive set ever released. These are the only images that you really need to see to fully understand just why so many people have claimed that this is one of the most difficult sets they've ever built. Just simply follow the guide to place all of the 1x1 round studs and tiles into place, and then move on to the next one. You'll do this a total of 40 times in a row. Not exactly difficult, but if placing 10,000 1x1 tiles isn't fun for you, then this set will be very difficult to finish. Some builders like this and find it relaxing, but others don't. It just depends on what you enjoy building. A different kind of repetition can be found in the massive Sandcrawler set from 2014. This 3,296 piece build features some truly monotonous steps, but the worst offenders by far are found on pages 164 and 174. This entire section of the build is fairly repetitive, as you'll need to build each of the Sandcrawler's 4 tank tread bases, but the real issue is building the treads themselves. You'll need to put 38 chain link elements together a total of 8 times. That's a total of 304 parts, or nearly 10% of this entire build. Now, while finding the motivation to finish some of these tedious sets might be difficult at times, it's hard to say that the builds themselves are especially challenging. Well, that's where this next category comes into focus. Some sets are difficult simply because the build requires such precision that any mistake mistake can cause disaster. One perfect example of this kind of difficulty can be found in the Space Shuttle Discovery from 2021. Overall, this 2,000-piece build isn't too tricky, but there's one step that has given even the most experienced builders some serious trouble. Between steps 282 and 294, you'll need to attach a total of 24 stickers. Now, if that wasn't bad enough already, these shiny silver stickers need to be placed on the inside of these curved elements that make up the shuttle's cargo bay doors. Placing stickers is hard enough, but placing 24 of them on the inside of curved LEGO parts is on another level entirely. As you can see in this promotional image, these stickers are super shiny, and any misalignment is going to stand out like a sore thumb. Sure, it's not exactly rocket science, but applying the stickers is very difficult, yet very rewarding. You see, tapping the subscribe button below is much easier and rewards you with a new LEGO video that I post every Saturday, so as I discuss this next set, take a couple seconds to subscribe and help me reach 1 million subscribers. Another build that requires a steady hand is the Stranger Things The Upside Down set. This box contains over 2,000 parts and is overall a very fun and unique build. However, there's a part at the end that's scarier than anything on the show. Throughout the build, you'll assemble 2 mirrored copies of the same house. At the very end, you'll need to attach them to each other by using some ball joints and eventually building and adding these 2 supporting trees on either side of the build. This is not an easy task for even the most experienced builders, and you may want a second set of hands to help you out because it can get a bit awkward. Once it's all put together though, the end result is very stable, but it's a bit of a hassle to get to that point. Another set that requires some extra attention to detail is the super fun treehouse build. First released back in 2019, this 3,000-piece build quickly became a favorite among fans thanks to its detailed interior, clever construction techniques, and beautiful foliage. While the tree part is undeniably vital to any tree house, it's the dense and detailed foliage that rubbed a few builders the wrong way. As you reach bag 17 of this build, you're presented with a choice. You see, this build comes with both summer and fall leaves, which means that quite a few of the pieces in these last few bags won't be used at all. This page of the instructions is a bit unusual and could definitely throw some people off. If you're using the summer leaves, then it's pretty straightforward. Just follow the instructions exactly as they're printed. However, if you want to use the fall colors, things get a little tricky. All of the instruction steps are printed only using green leaves, so if you're using the brown ones, you'll need to keep track of which brown matches which green. Luckily, the light green matches the light brown, while the dark green is replaced by dark brown, so it's not too complicated. Well, unless you're one of the many green-brown colorblind people, in which case this entire section is an absolute nightmare. The strangest take I saw on this build has got to come from a Redditor named NanoH2O, who stated that this was the only set whose pieces they had to lick to get them to stay together. Yeah, you heard that right. Lick them. With their whole mouth, like threading a needle, they said. Now, I don't know about you, but this might be the strangest building tip I've ever come across. Was this guy even being serious? Another set with a few too many similar colors is the stunning Starry Night. Once you open up bag 5, you'll dump out a tremendous amount of blue plates in 7 different shades and multiple sizes. You'll then spend the next 42 pages stacking blue plates on top of each other to create the painting's background. There's no rhyme or reason to these, and they just appear in seemingly random combinations, making it pretty easy to get a little mixed up. Even if you've got perfect vision and good lighting, the odds of a mistake occurring here are significant. Luckily, LEGO seemed to anticipate this and provided several extra parts in each of the needed colors. Now, while all of these builds have been tricky in their own way, there's a third category of difficult sets. These are builds that might not be repetitive or require a particularly steady hand or good eyesight, but they are some of the hardest LEGO sets ever made for a different reason. The instructions feature complex builds that have many different places for mistakes to occur while building. One prime example of high complexity that comes up over and over again when talking about difficult LEGO builds is the typewriter set from 2021. While this typewriter isn't technically functional, it does have several moving parts, and pressing a key does cause a stylus to strike where the paper should go. Getting that many keys to react was a significant engineering challenge, and the LEGO designers nailed it as per usual. Sadly, as genius as this design is, it's still an incredibly difficult build. To kick things off, you'll need to build this little Technic sub-build. While that's easy enough, you'll need to do it 9 times. Now, I just have to point out how much I love this instruction here. Why bother showing them all in a neat ordered grid? Nope, just chuck them all into a pile. You'll then build another group of 9, followed by yet another group of 9. Again, all these are pretty straightforward, but we're just getting started. Bag 2 goes even harder on the repetition, but also adds some serious complexity. Just look through these steps, and you'll notice that you're building the same 3 sections over and over, and then stacking them on top of each other. It's super easy to make a small mistake when you're doing anything this many times, and even a single missed piece at this stage could mean that the entire thing won't work down the road, and you'll need to take it apart and build it again. This set certainly requires you to pay attention. I'm not going to go over all 11 bags of this set's construction, but just know that it doesn't get any easier. You'll find that you have several instruction images like this one, or even this one, that show how a small piece needs to face a very specific way before proceeding. Messing these up might not become apparent for another 100 steps, and could result in the need for disassembly like this LEGO builder experienced. So be sure to pay extra close attention throughout this entire build. I mean, when considering all LEGO sets, those that feature a lot of Technic parts have a reputation for being more difficult. While the majority of this boils down to human error at the end, it doesn't change the fact that missing a step and only realizing it 2 hours later is incredibly heartbreaking. But what do you think? What are the most difficult LEGO sets you've ever built? Let me know down in the comments. And click on this video right now to learn why only 1% of LEGO minifigures have visible noses. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel SpitBrix for more LEGO videos.